Hi everyone, it's Rax. I made the Season 5 class tier list right before the season started, and a lot of people were saying that a cool idea would be after the season starts to revisit it and see what we got right and what we got wrong. So looking at the different categories here, the one that I think would be very interesting to look at is the Endgame one, because that's the one that's hard to predict. The other ones are pretty easy and I think overall correct for my tier list, but the Endgame one definitely had some things that surprised me. And one of the cool things about this video is I actually have all of the good endgame builds built, so I can show them to you. So why don't we take a look and see where everything ended up, and maybe this might spark a cool new build that you might want to play. So let's start with the Druid. We put Druid in 5th for endgame, which would give them last place, and this is completely wrong. Druids are not last at all. At the very worst, they're 3rd, if not 2nd best. And you might think that's a little bit crazy, but if we jump into Diablo 4 on huge jacked men, let me show you the power of the Landslide build. Now, this is on Maxroll. I'll make a full guide for this, but I don't know, if you haven't seen this, you're about to be blown away by how powerful this is. The idea is you throw landslides to cause lightning storms. And the amount of damage here is truly unbelievable. So think about how many lightning storms we might be able to spawn. Think about how hard they might be able to hit. Here we go, multiple training dummies. And all I'm going to do is spam landslide in the center. Ready? Watch this. Okay, I have the damage turned off because I was testing something with Rogue. Why don't we turn on the damage so we can actually see how much damage it does? Round 2, here we go. Okay. Let's get my spirit back up here. Yeah, I mean, are you seeing this? Those are million, 14 million, 13 million. I mean, are you seeing this? Are you seeing how much damage this does? It's truly unbelievable. This build absolutely decimates Torment 7 Infernal Hordes, T7 Infernal Hordes, and that's like the main thing that everybody's running for the mats. It is so good on single target. It does so many, like hundreds of millions of damage a second. The fact that we have Druid in 5th is completely wrong. And I guess I just really underestimated how strong the brand new Landslide build would be. I will make a full guide if you would like to play it. It's at least the 3rd or 2nd best build in the game. Necromancers. So Necromancers, we have them in 4th, and I think that's exactly where they belong. There is one very awesome build that has emerged that really hasn't been a late game contender, which is Blood Surge. If you don't know what Blood Surge is, it's the ability where you like shoot the blood nova out, and it has historically been very, very terrible at bossing and very, very godly for leveling, like the best leveling build as we go into Bony Hawk here. Godly for leveling, but then it always fell off in the end game. You always had to do something else. And the minion necro was so strong, you would never dream of sacrificing your minions, right, in the Book of the Dead. But now all of that has changed, and I think it's their most powerful build. The other option for Necro is Bone Spirit, and Bone Spirit can hit for like billions of damage in a single hit if you do it right. The problem is the meta right now is to do Infernal Hordes. And Bone Spirit is just not the best for that. It doesn't have the AoE that it needs to be anywhere near the best builds there. But Blood Surge, I think, has been buffed enough to where it would at least be 4th best, exactly where we have placed them. So let's bring in the multiple dummies here. And here is the Blood Surge build. Very similar to the Landslide Lightning Storm build. You can see it's hitting for a shitload of damage. You're seeing 50 millions, 72 millions, 79 millions. You see I have no problem with my essences when you have it all built. Very, very, very strong. It's just not going to be up to par with some of the other builds. So let's jump back here as we port back, and let's continue down the tier list. We have Rogue in second, and I think this is another one that is exactly where they belong. And have any of you ever seen the Andarial's Rogue? The Andarial's Rogue is a beautiful build that focuses on the uber unique Andarials. And by the way, you're seeing me pass these uber uniques amongst my characters. You don't have to have uber uniques for most of these builds. This Andarial Rogue is an exception. It's literally called the Andarial Rogue, so you need the Andarial hat. But the thing about the Rogue, which a lot of other builds can't say with a straight face, is they actually have a lot of really good endgame builds. Like Rapid Fire is really good. Just plain old Barrage is really good. People are saying, I think Dioxide is testing another Heartseeker build that actually doesn't use Victimize, and he says that it's S tier. So out of all the classes, the Rogue probably has the highest concentration of very, very good builds. But you're not going to believe the damage of this either. This is the only build besides Lightning Storm Druid that can be better than the Landslide Lightning Storm Druid. Did I say Lightning Storm Sorcerer? I meant Lightning Spear. There's so many lightning builds around here. What I'm going to do, well, first of all, I'll show you what it looks like with all the damage turned on. Okay, so it's just completely nuts, right? But there is something crazy that you might not be able to see in all of this madness, and that's the damages over time. The damages over time, which can't crit, are what really make this build pump. You can see it's ticking for 54 million, but that's absolutely nothing. If you actually get it going here, okay, you can see, if we could possibly see, there's so many stupid ass numbers here, but you can actually get it to tick for more than 1 billion. And it would be right in the center totem here, and it's, I don't know, it's very, very hard to see. There were 1.6 billion. Did you see that tick? It's kind of hard to see. You might have to slow down the video. But I've actually seen ticks of over 3 billion damage. That's billion. And that's by playing this Andarial's Rogue. So this is another ultimate god tier build to add to the Rogue's arsenal. So I think the Druid was completely underestimated. It's not 5th. The Necro was correct at 4th. The Rogue, I think, is correct at 2. We've got 2 more classes to go. Let's see what we have here. Barbarian in 1. Now, okay, the interesting thing about this is, and I think I explained this in my tier list video, everything about the patch notes said that the Barbs would not be number 1. But it's so many seasons in a row of them being number 1, it's kind of like hard to imagine until you actually see it. But I think right now, in the endgame, the Barbarian is actually the worst. I think it's even worse than Necro. And I don't even know what to show you. Right now I have Double Swing Dust Devils built. I think Whirlwind Dust Devils is a little bit better. Bash is really good, but I think Bash is honestly, comparatively for how powerful it was last season, is like one of the best builds. It's really kind of meh this season. It does hit for a shitload of damage to one target. It can still do that. But again, that's not the point of the season. The point of the season is to blast Infernal Hordes. And any of these builds can murder the tormented bosses. And Bash just does not get it done. And Whirlwind Dust Devils cannot out DPS. I haven't seen it been able to out DPS any of these builds that I've shown you. So I don't think Barb is first. I think Barb is last, which is probably good for the balance of things. They've been so overpowered for so long, but there's nothing really cool for me to show you here. A lot of the Barbs, honestly, this season have already re-rolled to something else. So Druid and Barb need to do like a complete flip-flop. And then finally, we have the Sorcerer. And we had the Sorcerer in 3rd. Sorcerer was not very good in the endgame. The patch notes really, really buffed them. Honestly, this would be a perfect score for them in the endgame if it had not been for a build that I didn't even list in my tier list. It was something that North War warned the Maxroll team before we even started the season that it could be absolutely godly, and that is, of course, Lightning Spear. If you haven't seen Lightning Spear, it is far and away the best build in the game. There was a patch note today where they nerfed the amount of the splintering projectiles or the spreading, and they buffed the damage to compensate because the servers are lagging so bad from the Lightning Spear sorcerers that they had to fix it just to keep the servers afloat. The hamsters on the wheels were not able to keep up. But the overall changes, like if you are pushing like the super, super high end of the pit, you might notice them. I think most people are not going to notice any difference at all. If no one had heard about these patch notes, you would barely be able to notice a difference. It still is able to obliterate even Torment 8, T8 in the Infernal Hordes. And the Lightning Spear build, it's the GOAT. It just does the most damage. It's just that simple. And you just shoot the little lightning spears everywhere. I don't have my damage on. That's why it looks like I do no damage. My bad. Okay, and there we go. Now you can see who the real king of the jungle is. It's still the Lightning Spear Sorcerer. We just hit for 1.2 billion, right? I think it was 1.2 billion. And you can see the damage here is completely out of control. Nothing can survive. This is after the patch. I heard some people are saying massive sorcerer changes. No, I mean you would barely notice the difference. The AoE coverage here, the defense of this build, the single target. When you get it all built up, you have infinite mana. This build has everything. Nothing can touch it. It's just that simple. So that was supposed to be just a fun little thing to go back through the tier list. The thing that I definitely learned from here is I don't think I should just give Barbarians a free pass anymore. Blizzard finally did nerf them enough without any bugged mechanics so far that don't propel them to first, where Barbs are actually going to have to, earn their way forward here. I'm very happy to see the Sorcerers doing so damn well. I'm glad that the Druids had that Landslide build that snuck in there that ended up being so godly. Rogues are in a really good spot, man. Rogues have a lot of really good builds and playstyles that can actually compete. So the balance there seems to be very good. And I guess I'm a little bit worried about Necromancers, because Necromancers just had the very big patch where they buffed minions, but their most powerful build right now doesn't have anything to do with minions. So we're going to have to see where it all ends up. It is still a godly build for leveling, so we'll see how it all shakes up in the expansion, or maybe in the mid-patch, the mid-season patch if we get one. I know this is going to be a short season. We'll see what Blizzard does here. But yeah, let me know if you guys like this video. If you guys like us going back and taking a look at where all the rankings ended up, we definitely can. Didn't get everything perfect, but I think Necro, Rogue are in great spots where we put them. Druid, way too low. Barb, way too high. And Sorcerer, underestimated. I think Sorcerer is king of the jungle for the special build that I'm not sure anybody really saw coming. But hey, that's how it happens every time. A build sneaks in there and always takes the gold medal. Thank you so much. And I'll have, if you guys want certain guides for these builds, I already have Lightning Spear guide. If you want a guide for the Lightning Storm Druid with the Landslide stuff, or if you want a guide on Andarial Rogue or the Blood Search Necro, let me know and I'll make them for you. Thank you.